in order to hit a good number, you have to have some kind of solid plan. A forecast provides a plan for the future and allows you to better understand where your company's headed from a mission point of view and from a directional point of view. So sales forecasting becomes very, very important. It sets the stage for setting up your expenses, for understanding where your money's gonna go, etc. So we did that whole thing in class in forecasting. Remember, there's a full-blown PowerPoint slide, a PowerPoint presentation on Blackboard that addresses this, okay? We went over it in like week 1 or 2. So just get that PowerPoint presentation and use what's in there for number 1. All right, clear? All right. Number 2, explain linear regression and how it can be used, and then provide 3 examples of how it can be used in business. We're going to talk about linear regression on Thursday. And let me give it to you fundamentally. Linear regression is very simple. All it is it takes data. By the way, show a chart like this, just type into Google linear regression, it will come up. Linear sample of linear regression, so a chart will come up, use that as the final. It takes data and it does an average of the average, the sum of the averages. And it does that, it draws a trend, then it predicts the next likely point based upon this data. That's all I want you to know about linear regression. You don't have to understand the formula or any of that kind of stuff. Just know that it's used to do forecasting, and it's used to predict what's going to happen next. And it's also used to predict correlation. So linear regression looks at data points, and it says, for example, if this is unemployment, that's the unemployment rate, and this is consumer confidence, and we were to track unemployment. What is unemployment right now in the United States about?
7.8.
How much?
7.8.
Yeah, it's close to 8%, right? So they just announced a tad under 8%, whether or not that's a real number or a fictitious number because the election coming up to be debated. But if we just say that unemployment is 8, and unemployment is 10, and unemployment is 12, and unemployment is 14, regression analysis helps you understand whether or not there's a correlation in the data points. So if unemployment is 8, if consumer confidence is 70%, if we were to look at this data and say when unemployment goes to 10, consumer confidence drops to 68%, and it goes to 12, it goes to 65, and so forth, then regression analysis is going to help you better understand if there's a direct correlation. In this case, there would be, right? The data would show that as unemployment goes up, consumer confidence goes down, therefore there's a correlation. So regression is used to forecast data, to predict the next likely outcome, and also to show the correlation between 2 data points. Number 3, provide 3 clear examples of ways to use quantitative analysis and provide the actual data being used to analyze the problem. Quantitative analysis is the science, the facts, the numbers, the data behind research, market analysis, control. So it's all about the numbers. It's not the qualitative stuff, which is perceptions, beliefs, and values. It has to do with the data collection. So an example of quantitative analysis would be during a clinical study, you are analyzing how many people lost weight, for example, and you collect data over 8 weeks, and you conclude that 64% of those surveyed, or those participating in the clinical study, lost 3.2 pounds. That's quantitative analysis, right? So what I want you to explain to me there is, give me some examples of how to use quantitative analysis. How could I use it? Well, I could use it, give you some help. I could use quantitative analysis to determine target markets and demographics. I could use quantitative analysis to help me with pricing. Right? I had a student in another class do a detailed, really detailed competitive assessment on a product, and in that analysis, they looked at the price per ounce of 10 competitors and then compared them, very detailed, to show quantitatively the product in question is at a competitive disadvantage because quantitatively their price was approximately 8% higher than any of the competition. That's quantitative analysis. I can use it to determine whether or not my pricing is sound, etc. All right, number 4, list at least 5 critical topics that must be addressed in a business plan and elaborate upon their importance. Well, here they are. The executive summary, target market definition, unique selling proposition, risks and assumptions, right? And your forecast. That's it. We'll also throw in competitive assessment. So target market definition, competitive assessment, executive summary, risks and assumptions, right? Those are the ones I want you to elaborate on in that. And then list the major factors that must be included in a strategic plan, which we're gonna talk about next week. Vision and mission statement. Vision and mission statement belongs there. And then number 5, regarding Microsoft Excel, explain how it's used. We did this the other day. What I've learned in class, explode into mathematical calculation, and provide an Excel spreadsheet, a simple one, a copy, that looks at the last 10 classes that you took in Cal Poly, when you took them, the days of the week, the time of day, the class number. All I want to see is your ability to use an Excel spreadsheet, just developed very simplistically. All right, so now, any questions about these? We're going to go over this one more time in about 2 weeks, but I want to make sure that this is really clear. It's due on week 10, Thursday. You hand it in, it's fully take home. You use whatever sources you want. How do you get a great grade on the final? Say it again? Yeah, number 1, allow me to look over your shoulders, send it to me, or before class or after class, and let me look over your shoulder and help you. And then 2, when in doubt, add a chart. When in doubt, add a table. When in doubt, add evidence. When in doubt, add a company example, right? The way you attack this final, put the question or the essay question, 2 paragraphs, a chart or a table that supports your position. Another paragraph, a company example that supports your position. That's how you get a good grade, all right? Don't give me 8 pages of text. I don't want to see that. I want you to support your position with company examples. The way to do it would be, so if we look at forecasting, the first question, right? If we were looking at that question by itself, why is forecasting important? Here's how you attack the problem. So you go to definition of forecasting. So, first thing you do is define it. Wikipedia or wherever else you can find it, put in Business Dictionary and give me a definition of forecasting. Go to the PowerPoint presentation that I have for you on Blackboard. Use it. I have 10 pages, 12 pages of forecasting information there that we reviewed in class. So define it for me. Then you would go back to Google and literally type in samples of forecasting. And there you go. There's forecasting samples. There's a ton of it on Google. Just look it up, right? Creating a market forecast for your marketing company. Forecasting exchange rates. These examples you could use as long as you give me the source, right? The other thing you could do is go to images, and now you'll see images that show you forecasting, right? Models, and you can cut and paste that stuff. Don't complicate this. Don't overthink it. All I'm looking for is the definition of each of these things, so you would define quantitative analysis, show me an example of it in a chart and a graph, and then give me a quantitative example that said, quantitative analysis example used by a company. For example, here's how Nike uses quantitative analysis to determine target market definition. Got it? That's it. That's simple. And a few of you did that in your papers. For those of you who came in late, your papers and your participation grade are up there. Why don't you come get it? And a few of you followed that prescription, therefore you got a good grade. Especially those who were in my previous class. You finally got it finally.
Hey, I got the first
So
one.
those of you who got it, you followed that prescription, you got a really nice grade. Okay. So, is it, let's go back to this. Is this clear? Does anybody have any questions about any of those essays? We're going to go over it again in about a week or so, a week and a half. We'll go over this again in more detail, right, so I'll give you a little bit more support. And if you're stuck on anything, remember the deal I've made. If you're stuck, text me, call me, meet me after class, right, meet with me, let me help you through it, yeah.
Are these supposed to be any specific length or?
Yeah, good question, thank you for the question, I should have said that, my bad, I'm sorry. You know, you figure about a page and a half to 2 pages for each one, around there. And I don't grade on page length per se, so if you could do a fabulous job in a page, then great.
Okay.
Typically, it takes a page and a half to 2 pages because of the charts and graphs and the examples. So typically, it's 1 page of actual text and another page that's the charts and the graphs and the companies in it. That's why typically 2 pages per, okay? And thank you for the question. Any other questions about this? All right, so everybody's clear. It's due in week 10, it's due on Thursday of week 10. You hand this in, you hand in your business plan, and we're done. You have no class week 11. Got it? All right, any other questions about this? All right, we'll go over that next week, all right? What else? All right, next thing I want to do is, I want you guys to talk about in your groups,